All right, welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping straight into what's really buzzing in influencer marketing. Stuff you, as a brand manager, probably need to know right now.
Yeah, we've got some interesting sources lined up. Insights from Cannes 2025, a new LinkedIn guide focusing on B2B, which is fascinating, plus data on budgets and even ideas around awareness days.
Exactly. So the plan is we'll break down the key trends, the data points, the real-world examples from all this, and hopefully give you some solid, actionable things you can actually use in your own strategies.
It's less about, chasing every single new platform and more about understanding the bigger shifts. Where's the money going? Why? And what does success actually look like now?
Couldn't agree more. And just before we dive in, this weekly update on the latest influencer marketing is brought to you by viralfusion.io.
They help make those key brand creator connections happen. Very relevant for today's topic.
Okay, so let's start with that big picture trend because honestly, the numbers are pretty startling. We're seeing predictions for 2025 showing that a lot of companies might put up to half their marketing budget into influencer campaigns.
50%.
Yeah,
That's huge. It really signals that this isn't a side hustle anymore. It's moving center stage.
definitely. And the sources we looked at are pretty clear on why this is happening. Part of it is, well, traditional digital ads, your Metas, your Googles, they're just not giving the returns they used to.
Right. And then you've got things like Apple's privacy changes, the ATT stuff, making that super specific targeting harder. Plus, let's face it, people are just tired of ads. Ad fatigue is a real thing.
So true. Which leads us right to why influencer marketing is appealing, right? The sources really hammer home this idea of trust and authenticity.
hmm People genuinely trust recommendations from creators they like and follow, much more than, say, a random banner ad or some pre-roll video they're forced to skip.
It feels more natural, less like a hard sell. It's woven into the content they actually chose to watch.
Exactly. It feels integrated.
Yeah.
And the platforms themselves are leaning into this. Things like TikTok Shop, YouTube Shorts. They're blurring that line between watching content and actually buying something. Makes it super easy.
Okay, so pulling that together, the big takeaway here for you, the brand manager listening, you really need to grasp that influencer marketing isn't just another channel. It's rapidly becoming the channel where serious budget is shifting.
Because it's delivering where traditional digital is starting to, well, struggle a bit.
So the action point. Maybe audit your current spend. Ask why those traditional ads might be seeing diminishing returns for your brand specifically. And then think about where influencer trust could genuinely offer a better ROI. It's about understanding that fundamental shift.
It really is. Okay, so moving from that big picture to a very specific, very high-profile example, Cannes Film Festival 2025. What did the sources tell us there?
Well, the top line numbers sound impressive. We're talking 110.74 million in earned media value, over 2.5 billion impressions, and a pretty solid 3.08% average engagement rate on Instagram, specifically around the main festival handle.
And interestingly, the peak buzz wasn't actually during the festival. It was earlier, around April 23rd. Shows the power of those pre-launch campaigns, getting the conversation started upstream.
Yeah, that was interesting, but here's where it gets maybe a bit counterintuitive. When you compare those numbers to 2024, EMV was actually down by over 24%. Impressions dropped too by 27%.
Which on the surface, you might think, that's not great. Fewer eyeballs, less value generated.
Right. But the sources dig deeper. They suggest this wasn't necessarily a step back, but more of a deliberate pivot, a strategic shift.
It seems Cannes 2025 marked a move towards a more targeted, more qualitative approach. Maybe that explosive growth between 2023 and 2024 led to some activations that weren't quite as focused.
So in 2025, they actually activated fewer influencers, about 5.4% fewer KOLs, and published less content overall, down 16.4% from 2024. Still higher than 2023, mind you, but definitely a contraction compared to the previous year.
And the key learning, according to the analysis, is that this reflects a shift. Less focus on just sheer volume, more on really rigorous selection of who they partner with, managing their online presence strategically.
So they maintained strong engagement levels, pretty similar to 2023 actually, but they did it with less content and fewer partners. That really speaks to quality engagement, doesn't it? Getting the right message to the right audience through the right voices.
Absolutely. And that strategic selection meant bringing in a wider variety of influencer profiles, too. Not just the megastars. They had a good balance across mega, macro, micro, even nano tiers.
Yeah, you saw sports stars, lifestyle creators, beauty entrepreneurs, people big in short-form video.
Like Paul Pogba, the footballer. He wasn't just there for sports cred. He brought this accessible lifestyle angle, but still fit the festival's prestige.
Or Tuvok 12, big on short video. He helped reach that younger, mobile-first crowd, broadening the appeal beyond just luxury and cinema buffs.
And people like Pratika Swarup, a beauty influencer who's also a founder, she represented that new wave of female leadership, making her a really credible partner for beauty brands involved.
Or Kalon Hajo, reaching a premium German-speaking audience with really high-end visuals. It's about finding those specific fits.
And the sponsors mirrored that. Desange, the beauty brand, focused on qualitative visibility, using familiar French faces for a more intimate, natural beauty feel.
BMW used creators known for stunning visuals, like Justin Personaz or Bilal Zagawi, to showcase luxury in motion, really leaning into that cinematic feel.
And Chopard, the jeweler, they leveraged icons from different fields, cinema, sport, pop culture people, like Marcelo, Marina Rui Barbosa. They focused on aesthetics and storytelling to really embody their brand values.
It wasn't all smooth sailing, though. The sources did mention the incident with Lena Mahfouf facing cyberbullying and racist abuse. It's a stark reminder, isn't it? That huge visibility also comes with risks.
Massive risks. It amplifies social pressures, not just for the influencer, but for the brands connected to them too. It really underlines the point made in the source material about brand responsibility.
Yeah, that brands need to be prepared to support their partners when things turn negative online. It's part of the deal now.
Absolutely. So the actionable takeaway from Cannes for you, the brand manager, it's sending a clear signal. Effectiveness is shifting from more to better.
Right. So before your next campaign, maybe don't just look at reach or EMV. Dig into engagement density, engagement relative to follower size. Look at the qualitative fit. Is their content, their audience, truly aligned with your specific goals?
A focused approach, even with fewer partners, might actually yield stronger results. And critically, have a plan for supporting your creators. Partnership means navigating the rough patches too.
Okay, let's shift gears. From a big consumer event like Cannes to something quite different. B2B influencer marketing. The sources, especially that LinkedIn guide, highlight its growing importance, and it operates differently.
Fundamentally different, yeah.
Yeah.
In B2B, it's generally less about entertainment or lifestyle. It's much more about leveraging the credibility of, well, genuine experts, thought leaders within a specific industry.
And that LinkedIn source points out that B2B buyers aren't just passively scrolling. They are actively using social media content, especially from experts they trust, as part of their buying process.
They see it as a valuable endorsement, something that helps them make decisions at various stages.
And the data backs this up. A GWI survey mentioned showed B2B buyers are looking for content that gives them insights, stuff that elevates their own professional reputation, data-driven analysis, and crucially, that trusted stamp of approval from respected figures.
And format-wise, video comes out on top. It's highlighted as the preferred format for consuming B2B influencer content.
Okay, so for you working in B2B marketing, the takeaway seems clear. Your strategy should really focus on identifying and partnering with those genuine subject matter experts, people who've already built trust and authority in your niche.
And the content needs to reflect that. Highly informative, credible, maybe data-backed, and designed to boost your brand's reputation simply by association with that expertise.
And definitely prioritize video in your B2B influencer content plan.
Makes sense. Now let's talk about something maybe a bit more accessible day to day. Using awareness days. The sources frame this not just as jumping on a trend, but as a strategic opportunity.
Yeah, it's clever. These awareness days or weeks, they create this built-in context, right? A moment where people are already thinking or talking about a certain theme.
It lets your brand join a relevant conversation without it feeling forced or purely promotional. It feels timely.
And creators are perfect for this. They already have that authentic relationship with their audience. They know how to translate a theme, like, say, World Bee Day, into content that actually resonates.
And doing that expands your reach around a specific, often meaningful topic and boosts engagement naturally.
So the tips for brand managers are pretty practical. First, find creators whose values and audience genuinely align with both your brand and the theme of the awareness day.
Be open about your goals, obviously, but then trust the creator's instincts. They know their audience best. Let them shape the message creatively so it feels authentic.
And just make sure the awareness day itself is a logical fit. Don't try and shoehorn your brand into something totally irrelevant.
The examples given were good illustrations, like a food influencer partnering for World Bee Day, sharing recipes using bee-friendly ingredients.
Or a fitness creator for National Walking Month, inspiring people to get moving. Or a mental health advocate during Mental Health Awareness Week. They feel right because the connection is clear and purposeful.
So the action point here, look beyond just the major holidays. These awareness days offer really fertile ground for relevant, timely campaigns.
Aligning with them through smart creator partnerships can make your brand feel more connected and purposeful. And speaking of connections, just a reminder that this deep dive into influencer marketing trends is brought to you by viralfusion.io, experts in connecting brands with the right creators.
Now, while we've focused a lot on the opportunities and positive trends, the sources do also briefly mention the challenges that, let's be honest, still exist in this space.
Yeah, things like transparency, making absolutely sure sponsored content is clearly marked. That's still crucial for trust.
And measurement. The ongoing challenge of truly tracking ROI beyond just likes and comments, tying influencer activity back to actual business results.
Plus, it's just a crowded market now, isn't it? Cutting through the noise gets harder.
It does. But the strategic trends we've discussed kind of point the way forward. Things like focusing on building real long-term relationships with creators, not just one-off deals.
Doubling down on video, which just keeps growing in preference, and really leveraging those social commerce features that shorten the path from seeing content to buying.
And there's a real opportunity noted, especially perhaps for smaller brands, in focusing on micro-influencers.
Right. Smaller audiences, maybe, but often much higher engagement rates and incredible trust within very specific niche communities.
So if we pull all this together into some final actionable thoughts for you, the brand manager, number one, prioritize transparency, always. It's fundamental to trust.
Number two, invest in tools or partnerships that help you measure impact beyond just those surface metrics. Get closer to understanding the real ROI.
Consider micro-influencers seriously, especially if you're in a niche market. They can offer amazing value.
And maybe the biggest one, shift your thinking towards building lasting strategic partnerships, ones that feel genuinely collaborative, not just transactional.
We've covered quite a bit today, those big budget shifts. The strategic lessons from Khan, the nuances of B2B influence, using awareness days smartly.
Yeah, and the key thing is these aren't just abstract trends. They represent real shifts in how influencer marketing works effectively. It's becoming more strategic, more targeted, and it really hinges on that core of authenticity and trust.
Understanding these changes is pretty vital if you want to improve your campaigns and connect meaningfully in a world that's, frankly, tired of generic advertising.
So, as influence keeps evolving, getting more strategic, more measurable, here's a final thought to maybe mull over as you plan your next steps. How can your brand make sure its creator partnerships go beyond just generating temporary buzz?
How do you ensure they're actually building genuine, lasting connection and trust with the people you want to reach?
Something to think about.
Definitely.
And that brings us to the end of this deep dive. Remember, this weekly update on the most trending topics in influencer marketing was brought to you by viralfusion.io. Thanks for joining us.